It's not about the miracles. It's not about that. They don't get it. They think it's all about playing this role or playing that role. Or they want it for the wrong reasons. They want it to serve themselves. All the prophets and all the great mighty works like Moses, he was such a man of humility. He didn't care about any of that. Never glorified himself. It wasn't about him. It's about just serving God. He was a warrior for God because he fought for a greater purpose, which is God's will. Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that you believe on him whom he hath sent. That's the work. That's what comes first. That's what's beautiful, and that's a greater miracle than what else is out there. God can do a miracle on his own. God could take God could take a person, say, a blind man, and heal them on his own. He doesn't. The miracles were done through certain people as a witness and testimony to something deeper that was within them, that they were vessels for Christ, that they carried the wisdom and knowledge, that they were true servants. And that's what the miracle was about. God can do a miracle anytime he wants on his own. He can do it slow over time so no one even notices. These were to get people's attention and to certify who they were. But it wasn't about the miracles. It was always about the truth, the wisdom, the knowledge. That's what's the inner purpose and the real foundation there. But they didn't believe. And this is around the time when people start turning against him, because they just didn't accept, they just didn't believe who he was. They didn't receive, they saw the miracle and accepted that, but they didn't accept who he was. They didn't accept his message. They didn't understand. God didn't draw them to him. John 5:45 through 47. Do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is none that accuseth you, even Moses. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe my words? Jesus didn't change anything. Jesus didn't come out of the blue. This is so important when we understand the Antichrist and what's going to happen. That Jesus was right all along. His interpretation of the Old Testament was correct. Moses speaks of him in many places. The entire Old Testament, all the things that people, all the stories of the Exodus, how Moses set them free to the promised land, from the story of Joseph, who was sold into slavery to deliver his brothers, his people. These are all stories about Christ. Christ came in the volume of the book. It was all written about him. They didn't get it. They took it all, they twisted it around and perverted it and made it, they took all the knowledge and wisdom out of it and made it all carnal, that you got to do this and you got to submit to that and play these games and sing these songs and play our little, serve us. They made the people serve them. They corrupted it. They didn't understand. But this is so important that it was always about Christ, and he had the witness and testimony of scriptures to back him up. It wasn't just the miracles. You have more than two witnesses there. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe my words? So, they had Moses, they had that testimony, and he's saying that they didn't believe even that. They didn't understand what that was really talking about. If you understand what it's really saying, it's easy to believe because you see the deeper knowledge and beauty and perfection of the scriptures. If you don't believe, if you don't see that, it's hard to believe it because it just becomes a tale. It's the deeper knowledge and wisdom that's in there that certifies it. It's that pattern, it's that connection between those different parts, all leading up to the coming of Jesus Christ the Messiah, who fulfilled all the different ages that the nation went through. But there's miracles. There are counterfeit. There's going to come a time when there's counterfeit miracles. So if all your faith is based on it is some feeling and some supernatural experience you had that's somewhere, that's not going to hold up. That's not the real important thing. And we see this too in the adultery, in that it's that wandering woman. She's not stable. She's not submitting to her husband. She'll go here and she'll go there, looking for miracles, looking for signs, looking for excitement. It's the faithful woman who sees it through, who in the end has that strong faith, who in the end, because again, we have a God, Christ, even as our spiritual husband, you can count on him ultimately, even if you don't always get the signs and the miracles that you want. Luke 16:27 through 31. Then he said, I pray thee, therefore. Now this is the rich man, and this is a scene that takes place where a man has died who wasn't a very good person, and here he is in Hades, the underworld. And he's asking Abraham to send his brothers to his father's house to warn them about the afterlife and about what can happen if you're a selfish person. For I have 5 brethren. Okay, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. He wants him to send someone. He wants him to send another man, a righteous man, back from the dead. And there's even a type for Christ here, but back from the dead to warn his brothers. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abraham saith unto him, he's not going to give him his wish. And here's why. Because it wouldn't make a difference. They have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. The testimony of Moses and the prophets and the scriptures and all the evidence there as it relates to Christ as the lamb slain and all these different people, and not to mention even Samson and how he was sold, how he was betrayed as a type for Christ, David, and all these different people. It's all in there. That's the evidence. And that's what protects us and seals us from the deception that's coming. They have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. If they can hear Moses and the prophets, they don't need one back from the dead because that evidence is greater. Even the perfectness and the minute details with which the stories were written down, and then people have the gall to say it was taken from somewhere else. You'd have all kinds of. You only have one version. Yeah, you have, spelling errors here and maybe you have a word missing there, but you don't have multiple versions. The evidence is there. No culture would burden itself with copying these copious manuscripts unless it was really something in such a perfect manner, unless there was evidence there, and because it's consistent with itself. The law is very complex and it's very consistent, and it is. But even on a deeper level, there's a deeper faith that comes when we see the whole. When we have the New Testament as that key that fits into that lock and finally reveals what it's all been about, and what all these seasons and tribulations and how they went into exile and how they came back. It all comes back to Christ, who gathers back, who restores and resurrects the nation.